In terms of roster and player evaluation, I thought I'd take a different approach this week. We're looking at how the Mets rank in the National League in terms of some key metrics, right? Because I'm a stats guy. I like to analyze the piss out of just about everything in my life. So why not the Mets? And why not we'll start with pitching. We have the fifth least runs allowed per game. And I think that's a testament to our bullpen and the job that they've done. But we are giving up a National League leading 38 home runs ahead of the Rockies, Giants, Cardinals, and D-backs. We average 1.5 home runs allowed per 9 innings. We've also allowed the most walks, tied with the D-backs, allowing 4.1 walks per 9 innings. And our 2.15 Ks to walks ratio is third worst in the National League. So yeah, I mean that's when it comes down to it, that's where we're coming up short. And I think that's a case of lack of control, right? Location, just like real estate. We're not putting the ball where it needs to be. We're not locating our pitches, leaving them out over the zone, in the zone, over the zone, in the sweet spot, the wheelhouse, or just not hitting our spots and walking guys. We've stranded the fourth most runners, so it could be a whole lot worse. You look at the runs allowed per game. If we're not stranding all those runners, I think we could flip our record right now and probably be at least 12-15 or worse. So at least when we do get in jams, we know how to get out of them. We're also tied for the most hit by pitch HBP with the Dodgers of Los Angeles. Again, going back to control, right? Accuracy, not being able to locate. We're dead last in FIP, which is field independent pitching. And we're fifth. We have the fifth worst whip, walks and hits per innings pitched. Yeah. So, I mean, our starting pitching, if you want to talk about like wins above average by position, our starting pitching is -1 in the National League, which is second worst behind the Cardinals. Our relief pitching is 0.2 on the other hand. And we're tied for fourth with the Cubs, Marlins, and Nats, all of whom are, with the exception of the Nats, I'd say are overperforming, over expectations, I think. Maybe. It's been a house of horrors for our starting pitching. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, Scherzer was not pitching that great before he got suspended. Verlander had the injuries, been out, hasn't pitched a single inning. Senga's been healthy, but has been his last start or two, bit rocky. Quintana hasn't thrown a pitch in an inning yet, and it might be July when he comes back. Carrasco has the bone spur in his right elbow, so his return's unclear. So now you got to deal with, you have McGill, Lucchesi, who pitched well in his first start, and you're hoping that he can give you more of that. John Curtis has been recalled from AAA Syracuse, so that's going to help bolster the bullpen a little bit. And Jeff Brigham has been a ray of sunshine for us. Quite the nice start to his career. This is from the 24th, so it was a few days ago, but in 4 games, 4 innings pitched, 7 Ks, 12 batters faced, 3 inherited runners, 0 scored. So that was was that a result of the trade with the Marlins? I think we got him from the Marlins, so that's been a huge pickup. Hopefully he can continue with that level of performance. As far as hitting goes, we're slightly above average in runs per game and total runs scored, but we're below average in hits, doubles, triples, and home runs. Our slugging percentage stinks. I mean, you take away Pete Alonso, and our slugging percentage is near the bottom of the barrel. We don't strike out a lot, and we do walk a lot. We're second in walks, and we have the third worst batting average, but we're fifth in on-base percentage, so that you can tell, like, it's either walk or die with us, and I think that was a huge criticism of Daniel Vogelback's game, but that's not just specific to Vogelback. That's affecting the whole lineup. And we're second in runners left on base. So you can see like where we're coming up short. Again, it's the whole runners in scoring position type thing, ducks in the pond, you got to get them in. And we tend not to do that a lot of the time. So if you look at, we went National League wins above average by position. We did starter pitching, relief pitching. How about we go through the fielders, the field. Catchers -1. It's the worst in the National League. I mean, Not having Narvaez has been really painful. Francisco Alvarez has growing pains, although he did get a monster home run the other day in San Francisco. So, I mean, maybe Alvarez is starting to come around. Nido has been pretty bad. First baseman, though, 0.3, which is tied for second best. Attaboy Pete. Second base, which has been split between McNeil and Guillorme, is 0.2, which is tied for the middle of the pack. Third base is a minus 0.2. I think that's mostly due to Escobar. It's been improving since Baty came up. Shortstop is a 0.6. Attaboy Frankie. You can't call him Frankie. Francisco Lindor, tied for fourth in the National League. Left field, this is mostly Mark Canha's minus 0.1. Canha's been struggling. Center field's a 1, though. That's Brandon Nimmo, second best in the National League. There's now rumblings and mumblings about Mr. Nimmo being in the MVP discussion, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Right field's a minus 0.2. I don't think enough people are talking about how much Starling Marte is struggling right now. I don't think he's really at performing at his best. DH, which was a major concern coming into the season, is a 0, which is actually fourth best. So as much shit as we gave Epler and the organization for not addressing the DH, DH has not been the problem. And pitch hitting is at a minus 0.1, which I don't know where that ranks, but it's not great to be in the minus there. So, you're looking at, would love to have Marte step up, would need Canha to step up. I think Baty is pretty much your starting third baseman going forward, right? His last 5 games, he's 7 for 15 with the double, a home run, and 2 RBIs. That's a 467 batting average. Obviously he'll probably cool off, but as long as he's giving us quality at bats and contributing and not being a complete liability in the field, which I don't think he is, I think he pretty much has won that job at third base. In terms of fielding, we're 4th in defensive efficiency and 5th in fielding percentage. We did have especially Pete had a horrific night. I don't know if it was against the Braves. I think it was against the Braves or the Nationals, where it's like he had that pop up in the infield he dropped or missed. There was a pickoff attempt he couldn't get to. It was just a bad night in the field for Pete. But other than that, I think there was maybe a 3-error game. They didn't have a ton of those kind of games last year. I don't think they've had a ton of those kind of games this year. And that matters. I know fielding kind of gets overlooked most of the time, but if you're just making the plays, getting outs when you have chances, you're in a better position to win ball games. So Brandon Nimmo, let's talk about it. This is from Matthew Brownstein. 2022, his average exit velocity was 89.4 miles per hour, and his hard hit rate was around 40%. This season in 23, his average exit velocity is 92.1 miles per hour, and his hard hit rate is above 52%, which is the 91st percentile in Major League Baseball. And now we have the Brandon Nimmo Gnome. The Brandon Nomo, which I dig. Major League is one of my favorite movies of all time. They had Joe Boo, right? To break the schneid, to get get rid of the bad voodoo, bring in the good voodoo, the mojo, it's a thing. And I think once you are going through the struggles that the offense has gone through, in the latter half of the San Francisco series into the first couple games against Washington, sometimes it's all you need is a little something, as silly as it seems from the outside, that kind of stuff, it becomes infectious in the clubhouse. So I love to see it. Do not think it's hokey. Do not think it's lame. Think it's amazing. Jeff McNeil has 61 multi-hit games since 2022. It's the third most behind Freddie Freeman and Bo Bichette. It's good company to be in. Seems like McNeil, there were some talks about him struggling early on. I think he's coming around, as I mentioned in the last episode. I have complete confidence in him that he'll bounce back. And there was, I guess, one of the games, Gelbs was talking, they go to Gelbs, and Gelbs was talking about how There was that one year, I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021, where the hitters were just inundated with analytics, which I know I just ran through a whole bunch of analytics, and your head's probably spinning right now. So ironic that I would bring this up, but Gelbs was talking about how McNeil just completely stopped listening to that. Like they have these hitters meetings and he just doesn't listen. Like he goes, but he just doesn't, he's not paying attention. And he has like some kind of agreement with the hitters coaches, the batters coaches, Chavez and that crew, that like he'll go, but he's not gonna listen. And of course, Gary Cohen's like, so does he just go in and like do the crossword puzzle? Is like what is he doing in those meetings? I thought that was funny, but yeah, sometimes it's just like, I guess he's been talking to Nimmo, right, or other lefties in the lineup and just saying, "What'd you see? What should I expect?" And that's as simple as it gets. For some guys, like analytics helps. For some, it doesn't. It just becomes you get too into your head, and it's not just a read and react situation. So, you do what works for you, and it's working for Jeff. So, kudos for knowing what works for you, and being vocal about it, and going about your biz, handling your biz. We talked about the Alvarez home run. This is a crazy stat. The highest pitches hit for a home run this season. Alvarez, who's not a big guy, he seems like a smallish type of dude. I don't know what his height is, but I'd be shocked if he's 5'10". Not to say that 5'10" is short. It's not. He's 5'11". He looks shorter. It's interesting. I'm like 5'11". So he comes across as a shorter dude, but 3.87 feet. So I guess that's from home plate up. That's almost 4 feet. And then there's, I guess, Aaron Judge, who's 6'7", hit a home run that was almost 4 feet off the ground. Lindor hit a home run that was 3.9 feet, which was higher than Alvarez. But for some reason, the Alvarez one, it was like, felt like he was tomahawking it. And then Gavin Sheets, who I don't know what his height situation is like, but 4.34 feet. I used to it only happened in Little League, but that was like my go-to was tomahawking pitches that were like eye level and hitting them for going yard. That was like my heat map was red up by the eye level. It was like up above the strike zone box that they have. And so anytime it got up there, it was like, I'm just gonna tomahawk the shit out of this, and we're gonna get some Mickey D's, bro. Yeah, so honestly, I'm not too worried about what's going on with the Mets. I think, we can get right against the Tigers and the Rockies. If we can steal one from the Braves, you're looking at like possibility of 7 wins, at least maybe 4 wins, and just keep pace, right? If this is it's not definitely not a sprint. It's a marathon, right? So you just want to keep pace. You want to keep the Braves within view. Just draft them for as long as you can, and then slingshot their ass, Ricky Bobby style, right towards the end. That'd be sweet. So yeah, it's the Mets.